Today is the second graduation ceremony that I have addressed relating to people in the protective services. I did one for the police, and now I'm doing one for the fire service. And I always make that statement, and it seems to either annoy some people or impress others. I come from the time when my father was both a fireman and a police officer. We'll probably tell you that there was a time when there was no difference between the fire service and the police. I'm sure no one there will know that. So we've come a very long way. And to ask for the minister in my ministry, he wasn't even born yet. So no one will know how far we've come in St. Lucia. No one will know. It's very difficult to explain to people how far we have come, how well we have done from where we were. And when I can tell you that the government is going to invest in $9 million, $9 million US in the fire services of St. Lucia. $9 million US. And I can say without any fear of favor, this is unprecedented. It has never happened before. And that journey began on the 17th of March 2023. Note the date. 17th of March 2023, when the government of St. Lucia applied and received after applying from the Caribbean Development Bank a loan of $9,971,000 for investment in the St. Lucia Fire Services. And before I outline what that investment would do, I want to tell you that this year, in the protective services of the country, and I'm speaking about the police, the rangers, and the fire service, we have recruited 79 new police officers, 62 rangers, and I think 56 special police constables. And now, although Didney reminds me that is replacement, now we are recruiting, I think, 52, if the figure is correct, replacement fire officers. So I want to tell you, this is not talk. It's a manifestation of the government's investment. And I notice we are applying or asking for new recruits in the Ports Police. So we are increasing the numbers in the Port Police also. So these are not things that I'm dreaming of. These things have happened and they continue to happen. And that $9 million US that we are investing in the fire services will give you the following. In fact, you have already received 4 new ambulances. And again, these things are there, they are in service. There are 4 new ambulances, brand new modern ambulances. And here's what is to come in the short run. Here's what is to come to the fire services of St. Lucia. We are going to be getting 6 more ambulances. 6 more ambulances. We're going to be getting 2 fire trucks. One of them is for the airport. These are going to be here in June, and we're also going to be getting 5 new other fire trucks. Out of that, another one for the airports, and 3 specially designed vehicles to deal with car accidents. And I hope that our drivers, not because we have these vehicles, will cause accidents to happen. These vehicles are to ensure that these things do not happen. And these are facts. These are not things I'm saying from my head or say things that I say will happen. There are things that have happened, and they do not benefit one set of people. They benefit everyone in this country. When someone falls ill and the fire service, the first responders have to come to them, they do not distinguish where they have to go to. They go to a home and they deal with the issues at the home. And when there's a fire and a fire happens, the fire service doesn't say which house they are going to. They are going to out a fire in a house. It doesn't matter who the house belongs to. So this commitment is not a commitment because the government wants to do something for its own aggrandizement. It's a commitment to the people of St. Lucia, and it's a commitment that all the people of St. Lucia will benefit from. Everyone. And this is a matter of fact that everyone, when the fire service improves, when we have new fire officers, when the level of skill of the fire officers improve because they are TVET qualified, the entire population will benefit. So I think the entire population should applaud the men and women in the St. Lucia Fire Service. And some years ago, I had a discussion in the office. The Prime Minister, I was not the Prime Minister. The Prime Minister at the time was out. I happened to be acting. I was in Hollywood. And I had a meeting with some members of the fire service. And there were some issues in the fire service. And I said to them, have they ever realized the importance of the job that they are doing? And I said to them, when something happens, when someone falls ill, the first person or the first set of people they call is the ambulance. And they said at the moment or the time between what happens when that person enters the ambulance and when that person reaches a hospital to get a good injection, when by the time the person gets to that hospital, that is what will save their life. So they are basically, and don't quote me wrong, at this time, when the person is in the ambulance, they are the most important people to the person who is sick.
Right.
And that is how important that job is. That is why we have to cherish them, and that is why the government is committed to improve their quality of life. And that is why I agreed together with the cabinet to allow them to be eligible for the NIC pension when they have 20 years service or they have reached the age and they have reached the age of 55 years. And that was a move to show them how the government cherishes not only the police, the fire service, the correctional officers, how the government cherishes their service. So we said to you, after you serve 20 years or the age of 55 years and 20 years, you can leave and you can collect your pension at 55 years from the NIC. So at 55 years, you can start an entire new life, but you can collect your pension after that 20 years. So that is a mark of our appreciation for the work of the people in our correctional services. Yeah. So I want to tell you that I heard from Mr. Downs that you need more numbers. I don't want to make any promise here this afternoon, because if I make a promise, somebody might say, because I know what's coming. So I will make no promise this afternoon, but I will tell you that if time permits, the government will ensure that the ranks of the fire service are increased. Because St. Lucia is a tourism-dependent economy, and a lot of people who visit our country want to find out how our emergency services are. They want to find out what happens at our airports if a mishap happens. They want to find out how much time will it take to get somebody from the hotel to the hospital. In fact, they want to find out the quality of our emergency services. And this is another reason why it's very important for the government to invest in the fire service and emergency services. So I want to say to the men and women of the fire service, and particularly to those who have taken a decision, because being part of an organization that entails so much discipline and so much hard work is because you've made a choice. And I want to tell you that that choice is one you've made. And my job is to ensure that you have the resources that you need so that you can provide the service adequately and professionally to the people of St. Lucia. I noted that there are 8 new women recruits, or 8 new women, they call them probationers, as I read here. And part of the package that we negotiated for the fire service is, and I want to read, is as follows. Consultancy services for a development of a gender policy and action plan for the Ministry of Home Affairs. A gender policy and action plan. Mental health and psychosocial support for members of the fire service. And also says there is capacity building training for the fire officers and 266 males and 63 females. Hopefully we will get to that number, to ensure that there is a gender policy. This means that this government will not tolerate any form of sexual harassment in the protective services of St. Lucia. And this is why we want to have a policy, a gender policy. The men and women in the protective services must be the highest integrity, and their behavior must be of the highest integrity. We cannot tell adults what to do. Adults are adults. But we want to ensure that there is absolutely no form of sexual harassment, of sexual discrimination in the protective services of St. Lucia. And this is why we are ensuring that there will be a stipulated gender policy as far as that is concerned. So I want to end by congratulating the men and women in the fire services of St. Lucia, the emergency services. I want to congratulate Mr. Ditney Downs for his commitment to the improvement of the fire service. I've never seen a public servant, I want to say harassed, I will not say that, to ensure that he gets things for the fire service. Up to this afternoon, he was on my case about new recruits and trying to tell me he let them graduate in Masham. Hopefully, he knows, because of my commitment to my constituency, if he tells me that, I will hurry up. But I'll tell you, Mr. Downs, no matter where they graduate, it doesn't matter. Once they serve the people of St. Lucia, that is what concerns me. Improve services to the people of St. Lucia. So I want to end by again thanking everyone, apologizing for being late in spite of the rain, and saying to the men and women who've joined and the other men and women in the fire service that you are an important sector in the country, St. Lucia. I want to also congratulate the guest speaker, because he again, where he is also the evolution of St. Lucia as a country, the evolution of a new thinking, the evolution of new ideas, which is led by the people in the registered in the the Regulated Substances Abuse Unit. So thank you very much to the parents and the guardians and to the relatives of the graduates. I want to tell you, thank you for allowing them, for giving them the encouragement, for giving them the leadership, because you had to lead them to cause them to be able to be the men and women that they are. And I want to say to them, keep your eyes focused on the job you have to do. Remember, even though we try our best to make your salaries what the government can afford. And I want to tell you that, and I want to use my words carefully again, this has been misquoted, that the last collective agreement that was signed, or that will be signed, although I've heard queries about why it hasn't been signed, but you know, we in St. Lucia, where we're happy. The last collective agreement, a major sticking point was the fire service. I will not go further, because we don't want to create any unnecessary discussion. A big part of the negotiations was the fire service, major part of it. But I'm very happy to tell you that we've successfully negotiated. I want to thank the fire service for understanding the government's plight in negotiating a 13% pay increase for the next 6 years. And you may not believe it based on what you are hearing, but this is the largest pay increase for civil servants from since the year 2000. I want to get the year right. From since the year when Stephen King was Prime Minister, and it was 14%. And if you know where Stephen King is now, you'll know why. So that was, and then, you know, these things, because, you know, there's a lot of talk, a lot of bravado. But you have to, these things have been measured by fact. By fact, what is really true. The last increase given to public servants, the last time, was less than 1% per year. Less than 1% per year. These are the facts that are verifiable. And I can tell you, next week, I'm going to be signing or viewing the collective agreement that will cause public servants to get a 13% pay increase for the next 2 trienniums. So this is the measure of confidence and the measure of the belief that we have in our civil service and the belief that we have in our protection in our law services. So thank you very much. Thank you very much for what you do, and I do wish you a happy day. Thank you.